Yo, Remy here. In this video, I'm gonna go over one of the gacha games that I've been looking forward to ever since it was teased, Stella Sora. It just had a pre-release special program recently, and in it, there was some info regarding the game, such as release date, the core gameplay loop and mechanics, pre-registration and event rewards, and a little bit about the gacha system. Without further ado, let's get right into it. First and foremost, the release date. The game is announced to be released on the 19th or 20th of October this year, depending on time zones, which is literally next week, sort of, if I upload this video at the right time. Honestly, I'd say it's about damn time. There has been so much information about the upcoming games lately, but it's never about the games that I actually care about. And after a long wait, I can finally be excited that this game is coming out, and very soon at that. I have big hopes for this game. It might not be on the top of the charts, but from the little bit that I've seen so far, I'm very optimistic about it. That being said, one thing that I already saw happening is people quickly brushing off this game simply because it has similar visuals to Blue Archive. Now, I won't exactly deny that this game shares a lot of similarities to it, at least visually. I get that Blue Archive has some sort of reputation for some people. I personally don't really care. I've played Blue Archive for a long time. I think the way people judge it at face value is unfair, but if they wanna hate, then so be it. Personally, I've always loved the cute anime art style for games anyway. I see nothing more than a fun game that I can play on my PC and hopefully phone with cute characters to play as. I'm also severely biased because it's developed by Yostar, but it is what it is. Moving on to what Stella Sora actually is. It's a semi-top-down action RPG with roguelike elements. You form a team of 3 units, you control the main one, while the other 2 act like supportive characters who seems to be off-field most of the time. The way they support the main character is by popping in every now and then based on a cooldown. They also have their own ultimates that you can charge up and activate, all that good stuff. You take your party through dungeons and whatnot, you get random buffs and stuffs, you beat the boss or something, and that would be a run, which works like a save file. And apparently, you then use this save file where your units have the buffs from the roguelike mode, and then you take them to other various stages, like an endless mode, use them to farm level up materials, and stuff like that. And I'm guessing you then use these now stronger units to get an even better initial run, get a better save file, and then repeat the process. If you've played Honkai Star Rail, it's essentially Divergent Universe, the game. Now I get that some people might not have the time and or effort to do all that stuff, especially when we consider the fact that there's obviously gonna be some sort of expected daily grind. Well, apparently, not only that this game has an auto battle, which makes the character fight on their own, cast skills, dodge attacks, stuff like that, but it apparently also has a sweep function for farming. Emphasis on the word apparently, since this is info I gathered from watching the Japanese livestream. I saw what appeared to be an auto battle function and the similar UI for sweeps that I saw in Blue Archive, so I'm assuming that's how it's gonna be in the game. Obviously, for final confirmation, we'd have to wait till the game's actually released. There was also an English version livestream, but it didn't have much info in it. While we're talking about farming, let's talk about gearing. This game has discs, which would be the traditional weapons in like Genshin and Blue Archive, or light cones in Honkai Star Rail. So every time I mention disc, just think of them as weapons. There wasn't much talk about it, but from the little that I saw, the way the discs work is that you'd bring 3 discs in a fight, and these discs affect your entire party. There wasn't really a weapon class like swords and bows, or character paths like erudition and remembrance, but when I used Google Translate on one of the discs, it did mention something like buffs a specific group of trekkers, trekkers being what the units are in this game. Which I guess is more akin to the paths in Honkai Star Rail, but we'll just have to see how unit or group specific these discs will be. Aside from the usual built-in skills, the discs apparently can also have another set of skills which you can activate based on the buffs you pick during the run. In Honkai Star Rail terms, your light cones will have an active equation based on the blessings that you picked in your Divergent Universe save file. Quick note on these discs, they're not just called discs for no reason. Apparently, each individual disc in the game comes with their own music track, which you can use as your lobby background music. Kinda gives a bonus value for pulling limited discs, but I can also see someone argue that this is super predatory, locking near BGMs behind limited gacha items, but I can close an eye on this. Now as for things like relics or artifacts, from what I saw, none of the live streams really showed anything that resembles them. That being said, I did see them in the beta footage. I don't really remember much, nor was I really bothered looking into it again since it's still a beta, which means everything is subject to change anyway. So we would probably still be facing RNG gears, just like usual. Moving on to the actual gacha system. There's a post on Reddit that apparently explains how everything is, but I decided to not really think about it. In the sense that I didn't really see much specific info from the livestream, so I don't really want to look at a Reddit post for it. That being said, there was a few info that I gathered from the livestream. First of all, as one of the debut rewards, which I'll get into more in a bit, we will be given character tickets and disc tickets, or something like that. Tickets are the pulls in this game, which means that there are separate character and weapon banners. They've also announced the first limited unit and what appears to be its signature disc, which not only means having to pull characters and their signatures, it also means that it's using the standard and limited unit system. But there's a silver lining. There was a message following the first limited banner announcement, and according to Google Translate, it says something along the lines of, "This unit and the disc will only be available within a limited time, and you won't be able to roll for them for a while, but after a certain amount of time, they'll be added to the daily set gacha." Now I don't know what the daily set gacha is, but if I have to assume, this is probably referring to the standard banner, which means the limited units will be moved to the standard pool after their debut period is over, or at least after a while. Being the nature of gacha, I don't think that the limited character gacha or even the disc gacha will only have rate up units for the big prize. So I'm assuming that we'd still be dealing with some sort of 50-50s. But with the info from before, if we do lose the 50-50, I'm guessing that we could even lose to a previously limited time rate up unit, rather than only the standard pool of units. Call it copium, but this is exactly the system that Blue Archive had, which I assume was a lot of the inspirations for this game. Extra info, I was already done writing with the script, but then I saw a tweet from the official Stella Sora account announcing the limited banner. In that post, there was a line that tells us a bit more about what the banner system is probably gonna be. The first 120 recruitments grant you Chitose ×1 as a bonus. This to me screams like a Spark system, similar to the ones that Blue Archive and I believe Uma Musume has, rather than the pity system that the Hoyo Games and Wuthering Waves has. In case anyone doesn't know, let me try to explain the difference between a Spark system and a pity system. I'll start with the pity system since I am assuming more people understand it, so we can transition easier. With the pity system, as far as I understand it, the way it works is you slowly raise your rate of obtaining the big prize with each individual pull that you do, eventually reaching a point of guaranteed prize. And every time you obtain said big prize, whether it's the character or the weapon, it resets the rate back to whatever it was originally. The Spark system is slightly different. Each individual pulls that you do, as far as I understand it, doesn't actually increase the rate of you obtaining the big prize. But to compensate for this, a Spark system usually has slightly higher initial rates to begin with compared to a pity system. So there's no actual point in your pulls where you are guaranteed to get the big prize, but the catch is that after doing a certain number of pulls, you're able to spark, or in other words, claim the rate up prize. If you've played Honkai Star Rail recently, it's like how you'd obtain Archer's signature light cone after doing a certain amount of pulls. Although usually the Spark system only counts the pulls in their respective banners. The main downside of a Spark system is usually Spark count doesn't transfer across banners. Rest in peace pity builders. But the main upside is that if you do manage to obtain the big prize before that certain amount of pulls, if you do reach that amount anyway, you can still claim the reward. This probably doesn't sound that nice at the start, but in the long run, it's more fruitful in my opinion. The more banners go by, the bigger the pool of the big prize you can get, the bigger the potential value of your sparks will be. Let's say in 120 pulls you were able to get 3 5 stars, but none of them was the rate up. Well, it doesn't matter, you've done 120 pulls anyway, so you can just spark the rate up unit, and now you end up with 4 5 stars. Bottom line is that spark system just makes planning pulls much easier in my opinion. That is all we know for the gacha system based on the information of the game. But if we want to take it a step further, there's another thing that I'd say it's safe to assume. If the game truly is copying Blue Archive, then there might not be the regular dupe system like Eidolons or Consolation. It might be a limit break system where collecting dupes would increase your unit stars, like turning them from a 4-star to a 5-star, and just give them more stats. Technically, Blue Archive expanded on the system after a while, but I won't go into the details about it for now, just to not add more gibberish. Now for the rewards on release, starting with the pre-registration rewards. Admittedly, it's not much. A bit of equivalent of credits in Honkai Star Rail or Mora in Genshin, a bit of what I assume to be the pull currency, which according to the Reddit post wouldn't even amount to 5 pulls. There's also a 4-star disc and a 4-star unit, neither of which we know how impactful they will be. And finally, a simple 10 pull, probably standard banner pulls. It's not a huge reward, it's decent reroll material, it is what it is. There's also a login event that gives you a 5-star unit selector and a 5-star disc selector, and apparently there's also gonna be a newbie mission that, once completed, will give you another 5-star disc selector. There's also gonna be what appears to be some form of starter banner where you get to do a 10 pull 20 times. As you do those 20 sets of pulls, you get to save 5 sets that you feel are the best results. And from the 5 that you save, you get to pick one to be essentially your starter kit. And that's pretty much all the info I gathered. I'm super excited for it. Been waiting for quite a while now. Are you guys excited for the game? Gonna try it out? Gonna skip on it? Let me know if there's anything I missed from the live stream. Leave it all in the comments. But for now, that's about it. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, comment down your thoughts, feedback is greatly appreciated and I'll be reading through them. If you want to see more of me, consider hitting the subscribe button, it's free. I'll be doing more of these videos in the future. Now take a sip of water and have a good day.